How's it going today? I can't see as many faces on Google Meet. We're using Google Meet for the first time for this. So it may be a little bit of a learning for me. I'm trying to see if I can see more people on my screen, but maybe not. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. We will go ahead and get started. We have a few things to talk about on the agenda today, but the first thing we need to do is we're going to start off with the same thing we did last month, which is a little friendly competition on who can tell the best dad joke. So Chris Hughes was the winner last month. He is hoping to retain his title as the having the best dad joke, but he has a few challengers. So we're going to start with that. And Melissa is going to put in either, I think it's in the chat, or maybe there's a poll. She's going to put a poll in there that you can use oh, there she is. It just launched. Who has the best dad joke? So cast your votes, and Chris is hoping to retain his title. So we're going to start with Chris Hughes.
All right, here we go. So my friend David lost his ID over the weekend. I just call him Dave now.
All right, Chris. Your first challenger is Jake Hennessy.
I feel like that was so bad you might need to repeat it. All right. A man walks into a bar with a duck on his head. Bartender says, "Can I help you?" The duck replies, "Yes. Can you get this guy off me? He's been riding my butt all day."
Good job, Jake. Okay. The next challenger is Michael Glenn.
All right, Chris, this one's for you. What do lawyers wear to court? Lawsuits.
Very good. Okay, next one is Corey Weeks.
Okay, I'm a little nervous because it feels like a high bar to me here. I've been cracking up on mute here. But I'm going to go with honestly, it's been my go-to since second grade. Ready? Two guys walk into a bar. One guy turns to the other and says, "You didn't see it either, did you?"
Oh, my. Okay, Corey. And then the last challenger is Scott.
All right, here we go. These are all good. So did I tell you the other day I ran into a pirate with a roll of paper towels on his head? I asked him, "What's with the paper towels?" And he said to me, "Arr, I've got a bounty on me head."
Very good. Okay. Those are the jokes for today. So please go to the poll and vote for which one you think is the best. And we'll see if Chris can retain his title. Brian, you asked how do you get in on this. That's a great question. Anyone who wants to challenge next month, please shoot me an email. We'll limit it to 5 people each month. But if you've got one that you want to share and to challenge the previous winner, please email me. We'd love to have you. Okay. Brian's got dozens. That's great. Okay. Send me an email. We'll get you on the list. All right. The first thing that we're going to talk about today are our budget requests. So the session starts in less than 2 weeks. It's on January 17th. I know we're all super excited about that. We have 10 budget requests that we have submitted. And so I've asked the division directors that have submitted budget requests to talk about those. So let's go ahead and start with Janica Gines with finance.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we submitted actually 3, but they've kind of been combined into one. So essentially we submitted a request for finance optimization. And so what that means is at least 3 different things that help us optimize our current financial system in the state. One of those is some ongoing support from the vendor that helps us do certain strategic projects and things like that. And that was about $1.3 million. Another one is chart of accounts work that we've been doing. We've been working with DFCM, working with DTS, working with other agencies to try to help them better utilize or improve processes, maybe automate some things in the system. So That one was another $500,000. And then we requested one FTE to help us engage with our those entities that we serve to try to help them understand the system and better ways that they can utilize. And so all three of those are in the governor's budget. So we're excited and hope that we can bring them home through the second stage of the process and get those in our budget. So
Thanks, Janica. The next one is from the Division of Archives. So Ken Williams,
Can you hear me okay? I was having difficulties earlier.
we can hear you.
So we have two one-time budget requests. The first one is to replace our outdated microfilm scanning equipment. And if any of you have visited the archives and seen the collection, we have probably close to 2 million rolls of microfilm and microfiche within the collection. And so to make that process more efficient and for our patrons to be able to use those resources, we have requests to scan those and create digital surrogates of that microfilm. So the first request is for $70,000 to replace that outdated equipment. I'm really proud of this request because it takes 3 existing pieces of equipment that have to have computers attached to them and takes it down to 1 piece of equipment that can do it more efficiently. And then the second request is for seed money. It's $50,000 so that we can start the process of working with DTS and finding a solution for our e-records that are transferred to the archives and also for e-records that we create when they are requested. And Archives has a goal of becoming a trusted digital repository. So this will allow us to start working with DTS and working towards that goal.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, we've definitely seen a transition where archives really for a long time, it was all paper records and now most things are electronic.
Yep.
So it's time to readjust that business. All right, next one is DTS. So Alan, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Jenny, which list are we going down? I don't actually see the list. Is it displayed somewhere?
No, just your budget requests that were made it into the governor's budget.
Okay, would you like me to cover all 4?
That would be great.
Okay, great. So DTS has 4 budget requests that made it into the governor's budget. And the first one, the highest priority one in my mind is around security and access management. And basically this is a request to allow us to address some technical debt and to modernize our security infrastructure in the state. We have a couple of really critical and urgent things we need to do. We need to we currently have an on-premise security solution. We need to move it to a cloud-based solution. We also need to address some of the technical debt in our directory infrastructure. And we need to fundamentally split our internal security from our external security, meaning security for employees and applications and security for citizens when they log into, say, utah.gov. So that's a really big project. We have some ARPA money that we can put towards it. We also need some additional funding to help each of the agencies and their 1,600 plus applications migrate to the new security infrastructure. And also included in that request is something we call privileged access management, which is a very important security feature. So that's the first, very, very important, very high in priority, something we need to do to keep the state safe. The second one is a 3.2 million ongoing, and that's around customer experience for the state. So this is a project being driven by the governor's office, led by Rich Saunders, our Chief Innovation Officer for the state. And basically the idea is to try to move all of the agencies in the state to a culture of data-driven customer focus, meaning we'll have polls on websites, in person, wherever we interact or touch with customers. And then there'll basically be a deployment of software, and it'll be the Qualtrics vendor that will enable all the tracking, reporting, managing of this customer experience. And each agency is to identify a customer experience champion. And so this is a multi-year project to really and deliver on Governor Cox's vision of improving the customer service, the customer experience that our citizens have when they interact with the state in any capacity. So those are two really big ones. The third one is 1.5 million one time. This is around our enterprise technology implementation. And so we have this is about helping us to modernize our portfolio of applications in the state. We have some 1,600 plus applications. We probably have a good 600 of those have really serious technical debt, are in things like in older technologies that we don't want to be in, like Microsoft Access or MS-DOS or other technologies that we need to modernize and streamline. So we're looking to build teams and to build capacity to really invest in modernizing those applications. And this ties directly into the governor's vision of streamlining and modernizing state government. And then the last one is 142,000 from Matt Peters and the UGRC team. This team consistently delivers really, really great results, and we're really proud of them. They do a lot of really good work, and they have some functions that they need to expand and take care of. So that's a fairly small request, but it's an important request, and we hope that we're able to get that funded as well for them. So those are the four that we have in DTS, Jenny.
Thanks, Alan. We have two from risk management I'll cover. For those of you who don't know, Brian Nelson has been our Division of Risk Management Director for some time, and he just retired. We have hired a replacement for him. That's Rachel Terry. She's joining us from ULCT, and prior to that, she was with the AG's office, and she joins us next week. So Division of Risk Management has two, and it's related around the programs that they fund. The first one is a one-time request to set some money aside for our earthquake deductible. So as you all know, we had an earthquake in March of 2020. It actually resulted in quite a bit of damage to state buildings. I think the last time I've heard we've had about $70 million in claims related to that earthquake. And so of course, when that happens, insurance costs go up and our deductible has gone up. So we've asked for a one-time a one-time funding request of $25 million to cover our maximum earthquake deductible. And then the other thing that Risk has asked for is funding to begin a captive insurance for liability. So the state has seen an increase in the number of liability insurance claims that have been filed against the state, and it's becoming harder and harder for states in general to obtain liability insurance. So a few years ago, Risk Management was given legislative authorization to create captive insurance companies. And are looking to start that with the liability insurance. So we've asked for some funding to get that going. And then lastly, we have two from the Executive Director's Office. The first one is to hire a full-time privacy and security officer for the department. Those of you who know Chris Bramwell know that he's been very focused on building out privacy policies and plans for the state as a whole. And though he resides within government operations, his focus isn't on our department. His task and his responsibilities are for all state agencies. And so he and Phil Bates brought to our attention that as an agency, especially an agency of our size, we really need to have someone who's dedicated to privacy and security. So we've asked for funding for that. And then lastly, we talked about this a little bit last month, but we've asked for funding to build out an internal audit team that will be a resource for other state agencies. One of the things that the governor's office has really emphasized with all state agencies is the need for us to be audit ready, meaning that we are performing consistent internal audits on our own programs. So that way we're prepared when OLAG comes in or another external entity comes in to audit us. But we recognize that there are some agencies throughout the state that are smaller and may not have the funding or even the ability to hire a full-time or the need to hire a full-time internal audit team or an internal auditor. And since we already provide services to other state agencies, we had made the recommendation that this could be a team that we build out and then other state entities can utilize this internal audit team as an additional service from GovOps to provide internal audits for them. And that can be building out their risk assessment plans, helping them determine what needs to be audited, and even conducting the audits. So that one has a lot of support from the Office of the Legislative Auditor General and from the Governor's Office, and that was one of our requests as well. I think that covers all of our requests from the general fund requests that are coming through. It's another year where we have a lot of requests. All agencies do. There continues to be some additional funding available because of money that we've received from the federal government. So this year will be very similar to last year, where there are quite a few requests that the legislature needs to hear and to prioritize. And so we'll be advocating quite heavily with our IGG, which is our appropriations committee, and other legislators, and are very hopeful that we can get our requests approved. So we'll keep you in the loop as we continue to move forward with that. The last item that I have on my list was to talk about a new process that we have in place that we've shared with some on our team, but I thought it would be good to share with everyone on this call. We've talked about this a few times before as well, but the whole purpose of creating Department of Government Operations and consolidating agencies was to break down silos and to provide better customer service to the agencies that we provide services to. And one of the things that we really tried to look at is, are there areas where we have duplicate processes or duplicate teams working on similar functions? And one of the areas that we identified pretty early on was procurement, where we've had, for the state, we've had two processes for procurement, one for non-IT products and one for IT products. And this has led to confusion sometimes for our customer agencies when they don't know which door they're supposed to go through, and the processes are different. And sometimes they've started down one process only to be told, no, you've got to go through the other process, and then they start over. And it's been frustrating for them. And so we wanted to have this approach where we just have one door for our customers. Doesn't matter what they're going to procure, they're going to go through one door, and we're going to streamline that process to make it easier for our customers. And so we tasked Steve Cuthbert and Wendy Apirath and Dan Fry and Chris Hughes with looking at this and making recommendations. And they've spent the last 18 plus months doing exactly that and have rolled out a new procurement process. And Wendy, who is our Chief Procurement Officer, is going to take us through that and provide an update on that.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for that, Jenny. I think a lot of you have heard with regards to the new IT procurement process, what we're trying to do a little bit, and hopefully we can provide some clarity here. Jenny's provided a great lead into this, that really at the end of all of this is we're trying to make this easier for our end customers through us working more collaboratively internally as a GovOps team. And one of the big things that Jenny said was the one door process, right? So now, as opposed to trying to have a customer figure out where they need to go, who they need to talk to, at this point we've been working as a team, IT directors with state purchasing, to really leverage relationships with the agencies to start with that one door of an agency needs to buy something, right? We're asking for them to reach out to state purchasing, or if they happen to call their IT director, or the conversation starts with the IT director, the intent is that IT director, state purchasing, and the agency get looped together in regular communications so that everybody's aligned. And as we move forward, we can help to identify, what our actual technology needs, and work collectively with all the technology experts that we have within DTS to really identify, where do we need to have some of these requirements and address their procurement needs. So essentially, kind of in a nutshell here, if an agency has a procurement need, they're going to reach out to state purchasing and say, hey, we need a solution. The next question is, hey, does that have any technology? Even if the answer is we're not sure, we're going to make sure that the IT directors are involved. Our whole goal as on the state purchasing side and being the one door is to facilitate the open communication to make sure that it really is just one process, right? If they need to buy something, it's just one process. We're going to make sure that on our side within GovOps, we pull all the right people to the table so that we can leverage all that expertise. So then in going through that, IT director and state purchasing will help the agency and facilitate all of the different process, things that they may need to do in working through a new technology acquisition approval. And as we work through that, what that means is that even before we start working on the procurement, even before we start saying, hey, this is the solution that we need, we're going to sit down with the agencies to say, all right, let's talk about what problem you're trying to address. What's the issue that we're trying to find a solution for? And based off of that, let's answer some questions that we can provide back to DTS senior leadership, to the agency's leadership, to make sure it ties into the overarching IT strategy and how we can make sure to incorporate all of the necessary needs. Now, some of those questions may lead to answers of, we're not really sure right now, but that's the part of the early engagement. Because again, this is going to happen before we're running a procurement, but also ongoing engagement, right? So that we continue to have the open communications with IT directors and what I like to call IT security plus team. That would be, all the folks within DTS, the security analysts, networking, the edge team, any of those specialty teams that we may need to bring to the table. We on the DGO side can then work to bring together all of those experts so that the agency customer can actually continue to leverage through that. And then Alan Fuller, as the CIO, and his team actually has early visibility into what agencies are looking to procure as part of their technologies, and then can work with them to incorporate that in the overarching strategy for the department, for the state, and how that all ties together. But it's the ongoing engagement, and then as we work through that, that's gonna answer some questions around what's the problem that we're trying to solve. And Alan alluded to it earlier. We don't want to create, situations that put us into technology deficits really early on. And we want to make sure that we're being proactive where we can and engaging the right people. And then an ongoing and continuous engagement through technology acquisition, review, and approval, through the procurement process, and through contracting. This actually opens up the door for more DTS engagement with the teams that need to be engaged on the technology side with the experts in that space. State purchasing is there to help and facilitate through the process, kind of handhold the agency through the procurement process wherever needed. This may lead to a solution that's going to be purchased through a state cooperative contract or through an existing contract that DTS may support for multiple agencies, or it could lead to a new agency technology contract, because we're now at a place where the agencies are going to be the ones that will be the signer and the owners of their contracts, but with GovOps support, with DTS on the technology side, state purchasing as needed on the contract side, but with DTS contracts team coming into that conversation to help with contract negotiations and things like that as well. It's a lot, but we're working through this process to continue to improve it for the agencies. We've actually been working with several different agencies on different projects with IT directors, and are continuing to provide more clarity on this as we go. But the big part of all of this is we're going to have more open communication for us internally as a GovOps team, state purchasing, all the parts of DTS, and then also really engaging with the agencies so that we're not ending up in a situation where the agency is going down a path and then realizing belatedly, I should have talked to, DTS for the security piece, or actually this should have gone through this other, process for procurement. But it's really just one path that we can help guide them through, and we will work to coordinate and engage all the right parties using our GovOps expertise to make sure that we've got the right players at the table to support the agency customers at the end of the day. The one last piece that I would actually add to this, and then Jenny, I'll turn it back to you, is really right now we are in a living process with this. And we are capturing feedback from agencies as well as we work through this, in addition to getting feedback from, you know, IT directors, state purchasing folks, the different teams that are engaging with the agencies, so that we can continue to evolve and make this better, make this easier, and really ensure that we are facilitating the agency procurements as, you know, as easily as possible, whether it's an IT procurement or a non-IT procurement.
Thanks, Wendy. We just wanted to make sure that our team was all aware of this new process and what it looks like and how we're moving forward with that. So I appreciate that update, Wendy.
Yep.
And Jacob, I agree with you. We've heard that same feedback from several of our customers, which is it has been confusing. And so we think this is really going to be beneficial for the state agencies that need to procure items. So we're excited. A big thanks to all those who were on this team and helped us get to this point. Okay, that was everything that I had on the agenda for today. We did have a few questions that came through the intranet. One of them was just not a question, but a safety issue that they raised as it related to the parking lot and the sidewalks and all of the snow that we've received. And so just an update there, DFCM is aware. I believe we're looking, or we have contracted with a new provider for snow removal at TSOB. And their goal is always to make sure that areas are cleared and safe for employees by the time employees are coming in at 8 o'clock. But if you see any concerns or you have any concerns, feel free to reach out to Greg Uber. He's the facility manager for TSOB, and he's always happy to take a look into any of those concerns. And then the only other question that came through, or recommendation I should say, is somebody pointed out that some of our job postings require a traditional office setting experience, and they felt like that is probably unnecessary. So we've talked to HR, and that was a good area for us to explore. As many as you know, the governor recently issued an executive order that many of our positions will no longer require college degrees or bachelor's degrees. And so it's a good opportunity for us to look at all of our job postings and determine, are there things that we have listed as requirements that really are not necessary or beneficial in bringing applicants into the state. So HR is looking into that and going to look at modifying that, but we appreciate that feedback so we can, again, go back through ways that we've done things in the past and see if we need to revisit them and change things up. Those are the only ones that I saw come through the intranet, but if anyone has any questions today, feel free to throw them in the chat. While we're waiting on that, I'm just going to tell you that looking at the poll, it looks like Chris is no longer the reigning champion. That would now be Michael Glenn. So congratulations, Michael. Anyone who wants to challenge Michael next month, send me an email and we'll get you on the list. Let me go back to the chat. I'm not seeing any questions that I've missed. When will the Ken Hansen Award winner be announced? It will be announced by the end of this month. So we've had quite a few nominees that came through, and so impressed with the nominations. And so there will be two things that will happen this month. Number one, we'll announce the Ken Hansen Award winner and do that presentation, but we'll also be sharing with the entire department the nominations that came in, because I think it would be great for all of you to see the incredible work that's being done across the agency. So we'll share the names and the descriptions of all those who were nominated in addition to the winner. Employee parking versus public parking, will that be designated? Greg or Jim or Andy, are you on the call? I'm not sure about that one, if we're going to have designated employee parking. Marilee, do you by chance know?
So I can speak to that really briefly, Jenny.
Thanks, Andy.
Right now, I mean, that's pretty loosely defined, but right now, the best place for employees to park is that north entrance, because it provides that secure entrance with credentialed employees, so you don't have to go through security and all that. So right now, it's pretty much just a recommendation, but we prefer that all employees park on that north side there. And as Big D mobilizes out of here, we'll have a little bit more space open up over there. So for the time being, that's kind of the plan, but we're also working on a signage package for the exterior, which has been awarded. So it will become a lot less confusing out there, and we know that's an issue. So keep that in mind as well.
Thanks, Andy. And then Andy or Jim or Chris or Wendy, do one of you just want to briefly give an update, let people know that we'll have a new building on the north side. Andy, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I think we can take that as a team. Wendy and I we're on the planning committee, I guess, if you want to call it that, for that building. But essentially, it's going to be just to the north of where the current parking awnings are. So that building is going to house surplus fleet DFCM mechanics, and yeah, right now it's in design, and we've kind of finalized the layout of the interior of the building, and we're just working on a few things with the civil and some of the construction materials. So, but it's moving along, and I think we should be pretty excited about it. It's going to be pretty cool.
Thanks, Andy. So for those of you who don't know, our surplus building right now is at the old Draper prison site. And of course, with that coming down, we have to relocate. And so that is where that new building will be built, as Andy said, to have surplus, but also fleet and DFCM, some of their teams in that as well. So we're in that northwest corner. Is it true that Marilee, an avid BYU fan but Utah graduate, and jinxed the Utes by wearing Utah sweatpants on Monday? If you think yes, please IM her. Poor Marilee.
Not IM me. Do not.
All right, I'm not seeing anything else come through, so we'll go ahead and close early. But thank you for being here, and we'll chat again next month. Have a great day, everyone.